And welcome back to the Drivers Room. We're in the Sunday League again today. This is Season 5, Round 4, Tier 1. And we're racing at Drsl Seaside in Mitsubishi Evos versus the Subaru Imprezas. Let's take a look, see how qualifying went today. Pole position, we have Drsl. In second place today, we have Martin B. In third today, we have Kuska. In fourth position is Alex. Fifth on the grid today is Flapjack. In sixth place, Mungino. Seventh place, myself, DJ Rice. In eighth today is Mr. Sean. Ninth on the grid today is JC. 10th place is Bullet. In 11th is MJR Mercer. 12th on the grid today is Coolio. 13th we have Rocker. And in 14th we have Cafe Del Mar. That is our grid walk for today. Let's get underway. Here we are then, about to get underway. Round 4, Season 5, Drivers Room, Sunday League, Tier 1. Drsl on pole, gets away cleanly. All these cars 4-wheel drive, so it should be pretty sensible off the line. Just coming down to the reactions of the drivers to the lights, but Drsl leading everyone into the first corner, and it looks like Kuska might be making a move for second place here. He does have the inside, which is technically turn 2, coming up, gets a little bump from Alex behind, but does take second place ahead of Martin B. Drops into third for now. Alex still retaining his fourth spot, unable to follow Kuska through there. And Flapjack picking up a penalty, still in fifth place. Mungino in sixth. So all positions being maintained. You've got Cafe Del Mar's moved up from the back of the grid into 10th as he takes a look at Bullet here on the inside, and does move up to 9th. Great opening. Oh no, he drops back to 10th there. It's just showing on the graphic in 9th place for a split second as he's battling Mr. Sean, coming up into the S's now with Bullet. Oh, Bullet on the outside of Mr. Sean there, not where he needs to be. Does well, holds on to 8th place for now. A little bit further up the grid, you've got Flapjack right on the gearbox of Alex down this straight. Coming into one of the first heavy braking zones, barring the opening corner, and Flapjack a little bit deep there, but I think Alex has had a little bit of trouble through that corner. He's had really poor exit. Alex drops back to 5th now as Flapjack moves himself up into 4th place. As we go through the chicane of death for the first time, it looks like everyone swinging these cars around pretty nicely. So everyone through the chicane of death. No deaths on the first lap. Drsl leading the way. The end of lap 1 now may well come under pressure from Kuska on the home straight. Excuse me. So we'll have a quick on board with Kuska now. So it's not quite got the slingshot he would have wanted, but he's not got the track position either, as Drsl has the inside. Just lifted off the throttle there slightly, I feel, and Kuska a little bit later on the brakes, gets his nose into the apex as well, and takes the lead of the race into the opening corner of lap 2. So Kuska in the lead now, Drsl in second place, Martin B still in third as Flapjack starting to move up the grid. Flapjack looking really quick the opening stages of the race as he starts to put Martin B under pressure now, as Alex is falling back a little bit, finds himself under pressure from Mungino and myself behind in 7th. Bullet has closed up the gap as well as he seems to have pulled away from this group of cars behind. And just going back to Flapjack now, he continues to put Martin B under pressure. Just needs a good exit from this corner now. Could set himself up for another overtake before the chicane of death, as he does move to the inside. So Martin choosing not to go defensive there. Flapjack does take a look up the inside of this right-hander. See the front disc glowing red hot there, but he does well, slows the car down nicely and moves himself up into 3rd place. So Flapjack making some moves very early on in this race as we look for this lovely camera shot again. Everyone just flying through the chicane. Absolutely no dramas. So, will we have a reverse of lap 2 now as Drsl in second place going on to the main straight in the slipstream of Kuska up ahead. Drsl just starting to close the gap up now as they come up to his right hand kink, which I suppose is technically turn 1. Drsl does move to the outside, to the inside of the chicane. Kuska really late on the brakes again, meets the apex well, defends that really well, and retains first place as Drsl has to settle for second for the moment. Flapjack in third, Mine B in fourth, Alex in fifth, myself in sixth, so it looks like Mungino's fallen back in this little fight. So Alex finding himself under a little bit of pressure again. Well, it's still in 8th, Mercer in 9th. Looks like Mercer and Cafe Del Mar are in a bit of a battle as Cafe Del Mar moves himself up into 9th place now. Further back, Mr. Sean in 11th, under pressure from JC in 12th. So it looked like Mercer was sizing up for a move here as he is. Moves to the inside, really late on the brakes there. Don't think he's going to be able to slow the car down in time. Runs extremely deep into that corner and the back end just kicking out a little bit there. All sorts of carnage. I think he avoided contact with most people there. Just a bit of a Grosjean across the track. Finds himself back in 13th place now. So Cafe Del Mar should be in a bit of clean air now in 9th. See if he can start to close the gap up on Bullet up ahead. As JC and Mr. Sean side by side into the final corner with Mr. Sean. Just tucks it into the apex. Leaves JC plenty of room on the outside, but compromise his exit a little bit there as he does slot back into the slipstream of JC up ahead. And a little bit further up, we have missed another move for the lead of the race. Let's take a look back. So just rejoining the race towards the end of lap 3. Just coming through the chicane now, and Drsl couldn't get the job done at the end of lap 2. See if he can position his car, get a better toe down the main straight. Although it looks like he's got the move done into the final corner. So whether Kuska just choosing to, I don't know, maybe he just ran a little bit too deep into that corner, but does have a chance to get himself back into the lead of the race. So Drsl just moves to the left of the track, going defensive. Kuska can't really be any closer, but choosing not to go for the move on this lap, settling into second place for now. A little bit further down the road, just missed an overtake as well. Mungino on myself, looks like at the end of the main straight there. Moves himself back up into 6th place, see if he can start to close the gap up on Alex again up ahead and have another go at an overtake. The race just settling a little bit now, so we have Drsl in first place in constant battle with Kuska up until this point. As you can still see, Kuska sitting nicely in the slipstream. Flapjack in third place, having a lightning start to this race, still maintaining a reasonably good gap to Martin B behind, not really doing enough to trouble the top 2 at the moment. and maybe Kuska not choosing to fight on that last lap. He does. There is still a gaggle of cars close enough behind the top two to capitalise on any mistakes between Kuska and Drsl, so they can't really afford to get into too many battles early on. Just 3 cars behind, they will be nipping at their heels. Any mistakes are made. Yeah, Alex right out of that last corner should give Mangino a chance to get in the slipstream, close the gap up a little bit, as Mangino does seem to be opening the gap up to myself in 7th. Bullet starting to close the gap up. 204.5, 203.1 from Bullet, a second and a half nearly gained on that last lap. Cafe Del Mar running well in 9th, having started at the back of the pack today. Excuse me. JC running in 10th, that's Mr. Sean and MJR Mercer, I think, having a bit of a battle. That's Mr. Sean just getting himself in front for the opening chicane of the lap. So Mr. Sean in 11th, MJR Mercer in 12th. Both very closely following at the moment. So Coolio running in 13th, and Rocker still in 14th. As everyone running very, very similar lap times now. We really can't afford to get too far away from the cars in front. I think slipstream will be quite important today. So Mercer, that's where it went deep a few laps ago. Picks his braking spot nicely that time, as does get a look up the inside, and I think Mr. Sean does have to yield that. So just ran a little bit too deep into the corner. And Mercer getting the job done that time, moves himself back up to 11. Mr. Sean 12th, Coolio in 13th, and Rocker in 14th. Back with the lead of the race, and Drsl just starting to find his groove now. I think he's going purple in lap 4, just 2/10 off of that fastest lap. Just doing enough, I think, to maintain a gap over Kuska now. And as you can see, I think the top two just a little bit quicker than Flapjack this stage of the race, and at the same time, Flapjack still doing enough to maintain a gap over the cars behind, namely Martin being 4th, Alex in 5th, and then Mangino slowly starting to creep up to this fight again now. Looks like I'm just about got myself back up to speed. Very, very similar lap times for myself and Bullet on that last lap. Cafe Del Mar sets his personal best of the race. Finding some pace now. Moving back up ahead, and we do catch Martin B running a little bit wide through these S's. That is really going to compromise his speed through here. He might be a sitting duck at the end of this straight now. As Alex with a lot more over speed anyway, and a little bit of slipstream at the right time. Should be a pretty comfortable move if he can slow the car down, and he does. Moves himself up into 4th place now, so Martin B down to 5th. See what he can do in Alex's toe. The upcoming straights as Alex leading this little group through. Ooh, really wide entry from Cafe Del Mar there. End of lap 6. Really good lap times from these top two. Nearly a second quicker than Flapjack in 3rd, And Alex under pressure from Martin B. Start of lap 7 here. Is Martin going to have a little look? Alex is late on the brakes and does enough, positions his car well, gets through that chicane nice and cleanly. So Martin B still right on his gearbox at the moment. A little bit of field spread behind as it's like the midfield pack just hitting a little bit of consistency now. So Rocker's setting his personal best at the back there as well. And this is Kuska looking just trying to unsettle Drsl a little bit into that corner maybe, but can't find any way round there. So again, single file we go through the chicane of death. Just maybe dropping off the back of Coolio up ahead. Just coming up to the halfway mark, and we've got a couple of guys pitting, and so this has promoted myself into 5th. So that's Flapjack, who's was running in 3rd. So it's freed up. I say freed up Alex, but he's still got Martin B in very close company, and Alex doing a really good job on the fuel today, actually, just over half a tank as we hit the halfway point of the race. So you've got 2 drivers having pitted. Yeah, tyre wear not that critical today. You can, so just looking at my tyre wear there, and I am probably one of the worst on the grid for it. And you'll have a lot of drivers be able to extend this first stint, but we'll see how that plays out against. And Mungino has rejoined the race ahead of Flapjack, so Mungino up into 7th on track at the moment, Flapjack in 8th, but that is a huge chunk of time made up in the pits from Mungino there. He's taken on nearly a quarter of a tank less fuel, but that is a huge gain from Mungino there, because say Flapjack was running in 3rd position. So we'll see where Mungino feeds back into things when the guys ahead make their pit stops. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. Oh, Martin B a little bit untidy through the chicane there. Surprisingly, not caught any deaths at the chicane. But still a long way to go today. These cars are a little bit on the slower side, but they are heavy. It still takes maximum concentration through there. But we do have the top 2 pitting now, so Alex can carry on for another lap. I think that's Martin B peeling off behind into the pits as well. Yeah, it's Martin B pitting and myself pitting. So Alex does take the lead of the race, and his tyre wear isn't that bad. Pretty much everyone has pitted now, so if anyone is going to no stop today, I think Alex is the only one in a position to do so. But anyway, Kuska rejoins the race in 2nd, Drsl back in 3rd. So similar fuel levels for these 2 guys. Got quite a bit of chunk of time to make up on Alex up ahead. We'll see how this plays out. Just under 13 minutes of the race left to go now. Kuska in 2nd, Drsl in 3rd, Mungino in 4th, really under pressure from Flapjack, and Martin B behind. As Might be taking a look. As Flapjack, it was a little bit slow out of the corner there. Does have the inside here, just leaves Martin hanging on the outside of the S's again, and whoa, big moment there from Martin, sliding across the track, and yeah, loses a chunk of momentum there, and that's myself in 7th place, and that's Coolio behind as well. So Coolio not pitted yet, and moved himself up to 8th place on track at the moment. But myself getting extremely untidy there, having made a place up. Might be probably getting a little bit excited and nearly binning it on the following corner. Just doing enough to lead everyone through this section now. There's everyone through tidy, and Bullet again similar track position to myself still, and just behind this group of cars, but still a lot of places can be made up towards the end of this race. As myself running very, very deep there on the exit of the final corner, and losing 6 spots. Might be moves himself back up to 6, and Coolio might have a run at me here as well. I think just got the slipstream off of Martin up ahead, so should be safe going into the chicane. Quite close enough, also with the warm fronts as well. Yeah, interesting to see where Coolio feeds back into things when and if he makes a pit stop. Just over 10 minutes of the race to go now. Mercer continued their battle, 12th and 13th for the moment. Both out on fresh rubber, good to the end. As is Rocker. That's Alex Mann out in the lead of the race now, just driving very, very consistently. And you see the lap delta on the side there, so 202.6 last lap, 204.9 probably was these two guys' first out lap. Fresh rubber, so you see the sort of lap times they start setting, but 202 is still pretty damn quick, and only a second off of the fastest lap of the race at the moment. So, and again 202.3 that time around from Alex. Is again, if these two start to battle, they won't make much ground up at all. So yeah, only just over half a second gained on that last lap. Alex looking good at the moment. Obviously will be getting slower, should be getting slower as the race continues. That tyre wear carries on. So Mangino up into 4th place now. Just might have a little bit of fuel management to do compared to those around him, but at the moment still maintaining track position over Flapjack after leapfrogging him in the pits. So yeah, Mangino 4th, Flapjack 5th, Martin in 6th, myself in 7th, Bullet in 8th. So I think Coolio's made his pit stop. We'll go through in a minute, but yeah, Bullet in 8th, Cafe Del Mar in 9th, JC in 10th, Mr. Sean in 11th. Looks like he's pulled a little bit of a gap to MJR Mercer in 12th place now. Coolio has pitted back out of fresh rubber was 13th, but Rock up with the overspeed on his I think that might have been his first flying lap as well. Takes 13th place. There's a battle for 13th and 14th, looking to carry on until the end of the race as well. That's back with the leader again. Alex looking really, really tidy at this point. So these two guys behind really need to get the... Oh, that's the first victim of the chicane today in this Drsl. He's got engine damage as well. This has allowed Cusker to completely disappear down the road. Next guys down the road will be Mangino and Flapjack. And Drsl still crippled with that engine damage, and absolutely nothing he can do here as Mangino comes through to take third, and Flapjack up into fourth place. It's a huge incident from Drsl. I just caught the barrier on the way into the chicane and just got pinballed off into the barrier, and so up and running again now. The engine damage having faded, but yeah, that is a massive shame there for Des. He's had a race long battle with Kuska for what has turned into second and third place, as Alex still doing a really good job. Just a quarter of a tank of fuel left for Alex out in front. So Kuska in clean air now, see what Kuska can do, and if he can start to close the gap up on Alex up ahead. But yeah, absolute drama at the end of the race here. Last third of the race, but we've got Mangino in the final podium spot, and should be okay for fuel. I mean, if Alex is looking to go to the end on a quarter of a tank, but again, just needs to pick his fuel saving spots wisely, as Flapjack will more than likely be flat out until the end now. We'll see what Drsl can do from 5th place. He starts to close the gap up, having just gone purple on lap 10 as well, with 2:01.3. It finds himself in 5th place now. Martin B in 6th place, still closely followed by myself in 7th. Bullet in 8th place, Cafe Del Mar in 9th. So those two guys have been for a while now. JC in 10th, 2:02.5. JC starting to close the gap up now, and the guys up ahead, and see how that goes towards the end of the race. Mr. Sean in 11th place, still maintaining about the same gap to Mercer behind, who does set his personal best on that lap, and Coolio back in front of this battle as well for 13th and 14th. Does run a little bit deep there though. This will allow Rocker back into this little fight, but Coolio doing enough at the moment. So 2:02.4. So Alex still setting really good lap times, but that fuel is going to start going critical soon, I feel. And 2:01.2. So Kuska in clean air for clean air and unchallenged for probably the first time this race, and makes the most of it. Does go purple with 2:01.2, and yeah, it's just starting to nibble into that, and that is Flapjack ahead of Mangino there. So we've missed an overtake for 3rd place. Let's take a look back. So just rejoining the action further back, the end of lap 12, as Flapjack just following Mangino onto the main straight now. And does look like he's in just about the right distance to slingshot past into turn 2. So come through a fast right hand up, and is this where he gets the move done? Yeah, a little bit later on the brakes, and Mangino not being able to do much to fight that, but we'll see how this pans out now, as Mangino could probably do with a little bit of slipstream, and just to keep that fuel going until the end. But yeah, almost in a position to re-overtake then. So Flapjack just getting himself settled down, but Flapjack back up into 3rd place now, after Mangino making up massive grounds by just fueling a little bit less, or quite a lot less actually, than those around him. Anyway, running in 4th place now, as Drsl still in 5th place, getting himself back up to speed, and might be in 6th, just starting to drop myself in 7th now a little bit, so I'm starting to go quite critical on fuel as well. Bullet in 8th place, and this is JC has really closed the gap up, as I was saying that a lap ago. He's just starting to find a little bit of speed now at this end stage of the race. As Cafe Del Mar's had a reasonably quiet race, really good opening stint. He's got himself well up the field, and found himself settling into 9th place, but does find himself under pressure from JC for the final portion of this race. This could be a move here actually, as JC does take a little look. So both really deep on the brakes, little bit of door rubbing there coming through that corner. I think JC just yielding a little bit there, and Cafe Del Mar slots himself back into 9th place for now, and see if JC can have another run at him at the end of the straight. So these two cars probably the closest on track at the moment. Cafe Del Mar takes a defensive line into the chicane, and yeah, does well there and retains 9th place. We'll see how this battle develops as this race comes to a close. Just around 2.5 minutes left now. Mr. Sean looks settled in 11th place, done enough to fend off Mercer in 12th, and it looks like Coolio is doing enough at the moment as Rocker set his personal best on that last lap. Coolio runs deep into the opening chicane. But yeah, this battle looks set to carry on until the final corner by the looks of it, as I think Coolio's had a really poor exit there, and drops back into 14th place again for the moment. So Rocker back up into 13th now. So just setting his personal best on that last lap by quite a chunk as well by the looks of it. That's yeah, up into 13th place. And back to the fight between JC and Cafe Del Mar. Bullet, the comfortable 8th place up ahead as his fuel just starting to flash red now as they come through the chicane. JC absolutely chucking it through there. Looks like he's had a really good exit though. A lot of speed, a lot of overspeed compared to Cafe Del Mar ahead there. And that looks like a pretty comfortable move well before the corner. So yeah, really good chicane there, but he does run deep into the final corner. Just about gets himself in front of Cafe Del Mar. Yeah, back up into 9th place now. So Cafe Del Mar in 10th. Mr. Sean in 11th. I don't think he's quite close enough, as everyone coming on to their final lap of the race. But out in the lead still, Alex doing an outstanding job of preserving fuel and tyres, and after racing with Alex the early seasons of the Drivers' Room Sunday League, it's probably got to be said, out of if any weakness he had, it was probably tyre wear. And saying that, I'm not saying his tyre wear was bad, it's still a lot better than mine, but I think it's season 4 maybe season 3 might be on a couple of occasions getting results over Alex, just purely down to making the tyres last that a little bit longer. So maybe Alex has gone back to the drawing board a little bit, or maybe it was just this particular car, a track combo, felt very comfortable doing a no-stop half-an-hour stint. It just grazes the wall there, but he has done more than enough today, as Cusker is on out of the final chicane, but just not close enough to see Cusker's headlights right in the background there. Alex come around the final corner, and yeah, outstanding drive start to finish as he fought his way through the pack early on as well. Alex crosses the line in first place. Congratulations, what a win, did not see that coming. So Alex, the only man not to stop today, takes the checkered flag, and Cusker just not close enough in the end. Brings home in second, and looks like Flapjack has done enough to maintain a gap over Mungino and takes the final podium spot in third. Mungino crossing the line in fourth. Unfortunate for Drsl, does round out the top 5. Might be in 6th, and that is myself completely run out of fuel on the final corner there. So we got Cafe Del Mar coming home in 7th place, ahead of JC in 8th, Bullet in 9th, Mr. Sean, MJ Mercer in 10th. Mr. Sean 10th, Bullet in 11th, myself in 12th. Place is changing, and this battle until the end is still going until the end, and it looks like Rocker has just nicked it. But has Coolio got a better exit? They are literally racing to the finish now, and Coolio has done enough to take 13th. Rocker in 14th. What a race.